Okay, I know this looks creepy, but I'm using a cell phone and the screen of my computer to light myself. Leslie's over there in the dark. She's driving. We are on the way home because we did the Patreon class where I had faster internet. The problem is that the class is at 8 o'clock. We went till a little after 9. And where we're staying in our motorhome, they locked the gate at 10 o'clock. How long left do we have?
How many more minutes do we have left?
Yeah.
21 minutes to get there.
20 more? Yeah. We have 20 more minutes to get there, and it is 9:28 right now. So we're going to be cutting it close. The other thing is, what you're seeing down here is I'm trying to convert the meeting. I'm trying to convert the class video tethered to my phone so that you can watch it as a video on YouTube if you're one of our Patreon patrons that's attended this class, or maybe you missed it or whatever. But I'm trying to do it before I also run out of internet speed, which we also have a problem with where we're staying. So this is like the drama that you have when you live in a motorhome in the woods. Wow. 10 minutes to spare. And we have neighbors. And we're home. Alright, so we had a client send us one of these Squire Telly Custom Deluxe pick guards, which I don't normally do, but I had some time, so I let him do it. Don't send me random parts, because that can be bad. We do these rewinds on these pickups, and so let me show you what we're doing to this thing. So when we look at these import pickguard setups with the Squire kind of fake wide range things, we'll get into the pickups in a minute, but on this one we're actually going to go ahead and change everything. We're going to change all the wiring. So flip this thing over, and if you'll see here, it's got this plastic switch. In fact, we need to do a video about switches, so we'll probably keep that and use that for that purpose. And that's kind of one of those cheap output jacks, so we'll replace that with a Switchcraft, and then these pots will get replaced with two 500K pots. And then we will go ahead and take these pickups apart. So in just a minute, we'll go ahead and whip these pickups apart, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. One of the things we're going to have to do also is, because these are import pots, the holes are going to be 7mm, so we'll have to ream those out to accept a 3/8mm Bourne's, or 3/8" Bourne's pot, so to have good quality pots in it. So let's go ahead and get this thing all whipped apart. Okay. Did you try the ghost pepper salsa? It's hot, ain't it?
I just touched it.
It's hot. It's good though. It has a nice flavor behind it. It's really good. Alright, let's get these pickups opened up and we'll see what our plan is going to be to make them better. You're like, why are you soldering it? Because I thought you were opening it up. I am. But to get some heat in that old solder, it's kind of nice sometimes to get some new solder put in it to use as heat transfer. There we go. All right. Give that a straighten. Clean that up for later. Ooh, look at all that wax. I better go over to the trash can and make sure we don't make a huge mess with all this, because I gotta chip all of this wax off here. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is your typical reissue wide range humbucker. That's basically just really a humbucker inside a bigger case, and then it's got this like felt kind of stuff that goes around the outside to take up the gap in between, and then you've just got regular humbucker bobbins. So we'll continue ripping this thing apart. What's interesting is these are like actual cheapy ones. They don't even have the 4 posts on the bottom. I swear every time I work on one of these, it's different how they are put together. Because the other kind is there's 2 posts that stick up through the bottom of the base plate. And none of this really matters, because it's all getting cut off of there. Anyway, we're starting from scratch. We're taking the magnet out and replacing it with a better quality magnet. And then we're going to take all of these screw poles out, strip this all the way down, and start over. So this is going to start completely over from scratch, and we're going to rewind these. Probably going to go get a power tool so this is faster. Alright, let me get the slugs out of the other side, out of this one, and then we'll cut the wire off the coils. Alright, so the next thing we got to do is cut the wire off these coils, which is very carefully done with an X-Acto knife. I just like ruining stuff on camera because it gets people worked up. It's kind of fun. Somebody's gonna get in there like the pickup has feelings. Oh my god. No, this pickup sounded like crap, and this is the only way to fix it. Alright, so we will go ahead and get this bobbin and the other 3 bobbins all cleaned up, and that will be the start of our rewind process. Well, this has been the start of a rewind process. Okay, so one of the things that we've gotten asked about recently is these cheap switches versus a good switch, and what's the difference, and should you replace them? So the thing about switches is all you're trying to do is just connect 2 wires, disconnect wires, right? But the mechanics of the switch and the construction of the switch are things that make or break how reliable it's going to be and how many times it can happen, like over the lifetime of the switch. So here we have well, that's one of those cheap switches that comes out of like that came out of this Squire telly that we're rewinding the pickups in. So this is your normal box style switch, and then this is an Oak Grigsby switch that like comes in a Fender custom shop. This is what we put in the stuff that we build. So if you see here, when you move this, that contact moves from there to there, and it's pinched between those 2 things. It can wear over time, but as long as it doesn't get super corroded, it lasts a super long time. And it stays really, air conditioning, of course. It stays relatively reliable. When we flip it over, well, you can't really see. Inside there are these little detents that keep everything where they're supposed to be. So it stays when you put it in a particular position, it stays, which is what I really like. The other thing too is that when you solder them, so if we look at how the solder tabs are made, you could solder wires on here. The only thing I would say to be careful of when you're soldering this type of switch is to make sure you don't drip a bunch of solder down into here, because if you put too much solder and it drips down, it'll clog up those little contacts, because those little contacts are like little fingers that are like touching on both sides, and then that slides between them. So if you clog that up with solder or accidentally solder those 2 things together because it drips all down in there, it'll give you trouble and your switch won't work correctly. This is from experience. I've accidentally done it before. That's how I know. Okay, so these are really good. This is what I would go to. Now, of course, there's other switches, CRL and other brands that use a spring to retain. You know, they're cool too. These are just the ones that I use. They're not wicked expensive, but they are not cheap either, but they are very quality. They work really well. All right, so let's get those out of the way and let's look at the cheap one that a lot of times we're really familiar with. So this is basically a printed circuit board. I'll tell you what, we broke some stuff already today. Let's break some more stuff. Alright, so this is a printed circuit board, and basically all it is there's these fingers, these little fingers right here, that when we move the switch, they move on these contact points that are soldered traces on a circuit board. The trick with these is if you overheat this stuff when you solder to it, these tabs can actually fall off. I've had this happen to me before. Now they are riveted through, but I have seen them fall off before. And you can accidentally burn them. And you can also see why this type of switch could fail over time, because literally it's just wearing back and forth across here, right? There's no mechanical action. It's literally just a contact that's rubbing back and forth. Here to here to here to here to here to here. Like literally rubbing back and forth across this until it just really just wears through that trace, which makes sense as to why these are not very durable. So that's why I do not recommend or use this type of switch, where this type of switch has actually a mechanical action, and when you look at it you can tell how much it's wearing. These you can't really tell until it's too late. So that just gives you a little rundown of what they look like on the inside. It's pretty cool. So I got those pickups ready to be rewound. We did a bunch of other work today. There's actually some sun. We might actually try to get outside and do some stuff, but I've got to finish editing this and get it uploaded and watch it with you, so I don't even know if I'm gonna have time. There's a boat. Oh, pulling somebody on a tube. How about that? Screaming kids, gotta love it. So tomorrow's the last day of making a video every day of the week for a month. I'm exhausted, but it has been a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it. So I don't know exactly what it means. Can I keep up every day? Man, I don't know. That's really tough. Do I want to stop? I don't want to stop. It's really good. I don't know. There's going to be a little bit of figuring it out between now and next week. What we're going to do, I'm not really sure. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Let me know what you think, what we should do to continue this, because this is a lot of fun and I like this little looser style, and you know, this is my life. This is what I do every day, so sharing it with you has been fun. I don't know, let me know what you think. I guess we'll see you tomorrow.